Today is November 18th, 2014, and we are interviewing Dr. Melvin Collins in Hinsdale, Illinois.
Radarman third class.
Radar third class. And Dr. Collins was born on 9/4/1924.
Yes.
My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'll be interviewing Dr. Collins. Natalie Koska will be the court reporter for this interview.
You're a pretty gal, by the way.
Dr. Collins.
Yes.
Where and when were you born?
Unionville, Missouri, 9/4/24.
And what were your parents' names?
Greta and gee, I can't even remember my dad's name because they were divorced a long time ago.
Okay.
But Greta Hulbert.
What did your mother do for a living?
Mother, she was just a mother and took care of family. There was 9 of us. She took care beautifully, I might add, and took care of her family.
And there were 9 children?
Yes.
And how many of them were boys?
5 boys, 4 girls.
Okay. Were any of them in the military?
Yes, I had a son that was, my brother Jim was also in the Navy. He was aboard the Lexington, a carrier, and I was aboard the USS Franks DD-554 destroyer.
What war did you serve in?
WW2, World War II, in the South Pacific with the 3rd and the 5th Fleet.
Okay. What were some of the places that you went to?
Oh, Tarawa. Oh, gee. Truk, Bougainville, Marianas Islands, Okinawa, Philippines, Japan.
Out of those places, did you get to go on leave?
No. We were stuck for 21 months aboard destroyer, aboard in the South Pacific fighting the war.
What was your highest rank?
Last what?
What was your highest rank?
Radarman third class.
Okay. And is there a story with that? Did you
Not really. I was in Combat Information Center, and for pretty much my whole war, during the actual battles, I was on a 40mm gun in midship, and firing at Japanese planes, but nothing really exciting.
What type of guns were you firing?
40mm. Yeah.
Okay. Did you enlist?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you decide to enlist?
Well, it's rather a long story. Do we have time?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. It's an interesting thing because I'm a former competitive swimmer. Okay. And as a competitive swimmer, I was also a registered lifeguard, senior life saving, and all those sorts of things. Now, during my senior year in high school, I met a perfectly lovely lady. Her name was Martha, and so we talked about my going into the service. We talked about marriage and all those sorts of things. And so then when it came time to go, I decided to go into the Navy because she liked the Navy personnel. I wanted to be a Navy personnel. And so I went into boot camp. Okay, now and I'm not so sure that you know this, Bill, but after we had to go through boot camp, and then after that they called me in and said, Mel, we knew that you're a swimmer, we knew that you had your life-saving, all those sorts of things, and we wonder, would you care, would you come and be our swimming instructor at Farragut, Idaho, and for all those, if you can believe this, Navy personnel that couldn't pass the swimming test. And so I told him, and I said, "Well, I have an alternative?" He says, "Yes." He says, "If you decide, you can take a 30-day leave, or you can stay here and fight the war right here in Farragut, Idaho, teaching people how to swim." You know what my decision was. For the lovely Martha waiting for me, I took the vacation to go back and see to see the lovely Martha. We talked about marriage, and then after 30 days, I came back. They put me on a ship, and I was shot at for 21 months. But the fun of the story is that after 3 months, when we were out to sea, Martha wrote me a letter and said, "I have found another."
So Martha was not the one.
Broke my heart. But I didn't know whether you wanted that sort of information or not, but it's a fun story.
It happened a lot, too.
Yeah. But, as I say, I could have been a swimming instructor. I'd never seen the South Pacific. But no, I chose that to go out and be shot at.
Do you remember your first day of service?
No. I just remembered it. Everybody just coming together, and I was talking to Bill about that, and it's so interesting to where you have, goodness me, you have 300 people that just come together to serve on a ship that's going to be shot at. And it's interesting how the camaraderie that there is between this new family that you don't even know. But the minute you get on that ship, you are family and loved ones, and we know they have each other's back.
Did you? I know that you stayed in touch with one of your crew members. How many did you actually stay in touch with? Crew members.
Well, we used to go just as many as we possibly could, and we have a reunion almost every year, and I missed the last one, but they have a reunion that they take charge of. The lovely ladies take charge of, and our Sigma Frank sweetheart takes care of, and as I say, do a magnificent, and just got back from Fredericksburg, Texas.
Texas, yeah, the Nimitz Museum.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recall any of your instructors during boot camp or
any what?
Instructors?
No.
Okay.
God, it's been what?
Where'd you go through boot?
70 years ago.
San Diego.
Yeah, no, I was at Farragut, Idaho.
Oh, that's right too.
Yeah,
Okay.
when I.
How did you adjust to military life?
Fine. I was very fine with it. I like the military. I like military things. So I was very happy with it. In fact, I've always thought many times about staying in the Navy, because I really like the Navy.
What was your? Did you have bunks on the ship?
Yeah. We had bunks and just cramped quarters, and just one on top of the other. And
Where were you in
I
the
was
bunks?
I was on the top bunk.
Top bunk?
Yeah.
Okay. And who was
There was nothing to that. I was assigned the top bunk.
Do you remember who was underneath you?
Goodness me, no.
Okay. We talked about you serving in the South Pacific.
Yes.
And some of the places that you served in.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the memories you have of that experience?
Well, I would say probably my number one memory, because as I say, we went through the entire war with the kamikazes and all those sorts of things. But I think my number one was when we actually got into combat at the Makin Islands in the South Pacific. There was an air crash. One of the pilots crashed into the South Pacific, and the captain, at that time they used a whaleboat. So they'd let the whaleboat down, and I was in the whaleboat, and so I was to go out. Then if they had trouble getting to it, I'd swim and get him and bring him back to the whaleboat. And but I think my number one remembrance is that I was selected by the skipper, by the captain, to be that swimmer. And so I went out and saved the pilot and brought the pilot back. And then we had a most interesting thing, because then the captain decided that we have to update this, and this is something that was sent to the Navy Bureau of Personnel. Okay, and he says, so what we're going to use, he says, I'm just going to take the ship up, and he says, we're going to put a line on you, and you can dive from the ship and swim out to the pilot and bring the pilot back. And they had a stretcher down there that I had to get that pilot in, all these foul weather gear, and into that little stretcher. And so, which I did, and the problem that we had, and I was just amazed at this because I had nothing to do with it, but it went out on my next operation, and we tried getting this person into the stretcher, and the thing that we had not counted on was the roll of the ship. And so when the stretcher, they let the stretcher down, and when ship roll, the stretcher is out of the water, and then when the ship rolled back, it's underneath the water. And so, and I'm just having a terrible time getting this injured pilot into that thing. And so and I'd never remember whoever it was, but some utterly charming, devastating man figured out, we have to help Mel, because I'm getting beat up into the side of the ship with the barnacles. And he says, we have to make this. And so they took 5-inch powder kegs, emptied them, and put them on the stretcher. So no matter where it went, that stayed right on us, so I could get the pilot in and get him back aboard ship. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. Yes, very. Yes. So your ship, you and your shipmates all thought of you diving off the...
Yes.
Wow. And then putting those powders...
And I did that in bad storms. I did it in ice cold water. I did it...
And how many times do you think you did that?
Well, I saved 22 or 23 pilots' lives. Yeah, so I did it for 21 months, and it was really nerve-wracking, because every carrier, because we use swimmers, every carrier, as I say, we were the first ship to ever use swimmers. So I was originally the first SEAL. And so what does I say, that so many interesting things happens with that, and being a swimmer, and just going through that whole process. But as I say, the people were all helpful, because they got me back aboard ship, because I couldn't get with the pilot back there. I couldn't get back, so they put me on the line and pulled me back, and then when we took the pilot back, they gave us 20 gallons of ice cream, and so which was just great, because our little ship, we didn't have ice cream.
No.
So As I say, 22 pilots later, we're still getting our 20 gallons of ice cream, and every carrier used to ask for us because we used a swimmer. Isn't that interesting?
That's very interesting. Now, how far down did...
Oh, it's only about 15, 20 feet. Yeah, but dive off midship and swim out. And
did you dive in your uniform? Did you have
No.
dive
I
clothes?
dived in my skivvies, my swimsuit.
So it was pretty cold sometimes.
Well, majority of the time was just beautiful. Well, majority of the, in the South Pacific, the weather was just good. It's when we went up north, right off Japan, that they got in the ice cold waters, really cold, and that was in the first carrier-based raid on Tokyo. And so I sweat about 2,000 planes to get them airborne, because I knew if one of them hit the water, I had to go in that ice water and get that pilot. And so I got everything aboard. When they come back, got back to the last two guys, and the second one went in. And so I had to get my skivvies and swim out and get that. I still get cold thinking about it. But as I say, I got the pilot and brought him back. In fact, and that's where I received my second medal. I received the Navy and Marine Corps Medal of Honor for that swim right off Tokyo. And I swam in the deepest water in the world, saved a pilot in Mindanao Straits. Deepest water in the world, 5 miles down. So it was a fun time. Majority of the time was just perfectly lovely, just like a swim at the park. Then sometimes it was stinky. But you know, they were so nice to take care of Mel, and they said, well, boy, we have to take her. So they used to have guns up there to protect me on the thing. Then they said, well, Mel, majority of your pilots are going to be hurt. And so blood, you know, that's going to get sharks. So what we're going to do is, one, we're going to give you a little knife that they put around my waist in a little knife pocket here so I could fight off the sharks.
So, how'd that knife work?
Huh?
How'd that knife work?
Oh, and I didn't have to use it, thankfully. Yeah, but can you imagine a little knife fight? And you know the funny thing, and it's a funny thing that kids believe that here I am, a young kid, 18. You know, I'm up every 4 hours of the night, day and night, every 4 hours, taking planes on, taking people off. And the captain, after the first operation, getting the pilot, come to me and he says, you know, Mel, he says, I want you to understand, it's not that we don't love you. He said, but if you happen to be in the water when we're being attacked, what I will do is, because I can't sacrifice 300 people for one person, even one brave one in the water. He says, I'm going to have to get steam up and get out of there and start fighting off. And he says, so, but what I will do, I will throw you your line and I will come back and get you. Do you know what the chances for that happening?
Did that ever have to happen? Did that ever have to happen?
It happened only once, and he did not take off. Yeah.
What was you said that you received your second medal.
My first was Bronze Star, the Bronze Star, yeah. And the second was the Navy Marine Corps Medal of Honor.
And your Bronze Star, was that for one of your
That's swimming, yeah, that for swimming rescue pilots. And we had we were written up. Ernie Pyle just happened to be on a carrier, and one of the pilots on his carrier went into the water, and we saved the pilot, Jimmy Van Fleet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so we got Jimmy, took care of him back, and Ernie Pyle wrote about it and sent an article, sent it all over the world about us rescuing Jimmy Van Fleet. And an interesting thing about that, I've always had great respect and affection for Jimmy Van Fleet. And so 65 years later, I received a letter from Mrs. Van Fleet. She had read the article. My life story was published in the American Legion Light magazine in the December issue of 2005, I think it was, something like that. But it's in there. And she said, could you possibly be the person that saved my husband during the war? 65 years later. Yeah. One of the most pleasant experiences. And I says, I was. And so we carried on a nice conversation, sent pictures and emails and all that sort of thing.
Did you take a lot of pictures of your rescues?
No. No. We didn't do that. It wasn't picture time. That was just...
Get them out of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, you were too busy doing that. You're not. Well, should I be smiling now, or should I be getting shooting?
You talked about the camaraderie on the ship, and working together. Do you think that was normal?
Yes, I think it wouldn't serve us. It was very normal, and I think that is in every branch of the service. I'm just utterly mortified by the esprit de corps that is displayed in every service. And so when you're fighting a war, everybody comes together lovingly like family. And they always have your back. And a funny thing, I have an allegiance. I'm a Navy man. Always have been, always will be. But I have such affection for the Army and the Marines. I had this good friend of mine that went down to Bougainville, a Marine, went down to Bougainville, was digging a foxhole out there, and people getting killed all the way around him. But they sleep out in a jungle, and during wartime, sleep right in a little foxhole. My good dear friend, the Marine, woke up one morning, felt something move along his side, looked down, and there's these 2 or 3 snakes that have crawled up alongside of him to get his body heat. I would have said, God take me.
You would have got out of there.
How did
But that's the sort of thing that and you know, an interesting thing, because I have such for the Marines, for how anybody can go out and sleep in a jungle by themselves. I just can't fathom. I couldn't do that. That's why I chose the Navy.
How did you stay in touch with your family and friends back home?
Oh, you wrote, and we have mail call every month, every 2 months, Bill.
What was that, mail call?
Yeah. About every, and that's the way you kept touch with a. Except I never heard from the lovely Martha again.
Did you get care packages?
What?
Did you get care packages?
Care packages.
Care packages. Oh yeah. Oh, you always got cookies and stuff like that. Sure, from your home, your family.
Were they stale?
Probably, but you ate them anyway. Yeah. And you know, we're a little small ship, and to me, the best meal that they had, because it was dried everything. No matter what you had, it was dried something, and dried pork or dried. As I say, the best meal it used to have was beans on Wednesday morning, baked beans, and we just loved those baked beans.
Can I ask, do you still love baked beans?
Still love baked beans.
Is there anything that you don't like to eat because of the service?
No, God, because they weren't really very good cooks. But you've got other things on your mind than whether this is gourmet food.
Well, let me ask you, when you're on the ship, you're thinking that you hear stories that their foods, Navy has the best food. How did you wash your uniforms?
You wash?
Your uniforms.
Well, we had.
How did you clean your uniform?
Yeah.
That went into the laundry.
Yeah,
we had a laundry aboard the ship.
Yeah, an orderly had to come and get them and do the laundry, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you do for recreation on your off-duty time on the ship?
Chase girls.
On the ship?
No, on ship you don't do anything. On a ship there's nothing to do. You're busy. You're either on watch or you're sleeping. An interesting thing that I just happened to think about ship. I used to love rains, and the nice thing about the moon is so big and so beautiful, and the rains, you could see them coming from probably a mile away, and so you watch and you watch. They get closer and closer and closer and closer, and finally you get the rain.
Yep.
And it's so interesting.
That's a nice nice memory.
Oh yeah, God, but as I say, and you go on Liberty, and when you go on Liberty, these are all young kids, and 18, 19, and then so you're out for royally to attend some aesthetically appropriate occasion.
Where did you get Liberty at?
Well, we didn't get Liberty. The majority of our Liberty was we'd go to an island, some island that happened to be close. But Hawaii, that's about the only one, because we were gone for 21 months, Bill.
Yeah.
For 21 months, just on sea, and didn't see anybody, didn't get any mail, didn't get anything, so.
When the war ended, where were you?
When the war ended,
Japan.
Yeah.
We were in Japan.
Japan, yeah, we were in Japan when it ended.
And what were your thoughts when you heard that?
Thank God. Yeah, goodness me, oh yes, thank God, because we'd had enough of war, and I'd had enough of. You don't realize how precious life is until you go out, and when you're under attack. I had never even heard of tracer bullets. And these are these red hot things coming, flaming things coming right at your head. And I had to live through that. I mean, I'm being shot at. It's, as I say, I've never experienced anything like that. Kamikazes, planes coming in and hitting ships, just destroying themselves on ships. It's just unconscionable. I had never dreamed of anything like that. But you're out there and you experience it, and you live the next day, and we just happened to be in. It's a happy thing about discussing it, but we just happened to be in the worst, probably in the history of the Pacific, the typhoon out there, and Admiral Halsey, or Nimitz, Halsey or Nimitz, Halsey sent us directly into that. 3 destroyers, total ships capsized and shrunk. And I thought we were rolling, 50%.
Well, yeah.
And I didn't think we were going to make it. So you wonder what we do in spare time? That's what we did in spare time.
So your ship was in a typhoon and you were rolling 50%.
We were picking up water from the stack.
That's right. The water went down the stack.
It was that bad.
And did you tie yourself on? How did you stay?
You're in war. You have a mindset.
I bet you were thankful for that time when it was over.
Oh, yes. Yes.
One of the carriers.
Because war, it really isn't
the deck
fun.
collapsed for maybe 150 feet back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you return home?
I returned home and was discharged at Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in November, and attended College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa in January.
When after your 21 months, where did you port? Where did you come? Go
home?
Mm-hmm.
Tacoma, Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I left Tacoma to go to school, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and went to school there.
So you went through the Puget Sound, to get to Tacoma?
Did what now?
Did you go through Puget Sound to get to dock your boat, your ship?
No. San Diego. Yeah, we were got out in San Diego.
I think we got out and the ship had to go back to Seattle.
Bremerton? Yeah. Okay, Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you returned home, did your family meet you?
Oh yes, and lovingly, I might add, which I could not be happier about.
And was Martha there?
Yeah, it's nice to be home.
Was Martha there?
No. I'm sad to say.
How did you readjust to civilian life?
Oh, I thought fine. It's different, and there's still scars. You have heart scars, and eye scars, and those sorts of scars. But I felt good, and went and attended school, and was an athlete. And
what did you do after your military? After you went to school, what did you do?
Okay, after I went to school, I taught school and coached. And then I became a YMCA physical director, which I really liked. And then I went from there to college counseling for my old school, College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I was the admissions counselor and was there for 11 years. And then I went from there to Hiram Scott College, and then, but only a year. And then I went from there to Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, and in charge of their Chicago area program. And then retired from Drake University, took early retirement after 15 years. And then the National University of Health Sciences got in touch with me and wanted me to come to work with them. And I said, no, not really. I've had my share of college counseling. But the more they talked, I've decided to go with them. And I've been with them after retiring for 27 years. Yeah.
Is there any memories or anything else that you'd like to share? No, I think being written up
and have my life story published on American Legion magazine is probably one of the top things that I remember. I remember receiving a perfectly lovely letter from Chief Smith. They have a SEAL school teaching people how to swim, and when he read about my service in WW2, he wrote me a very nice letter and said, "Boy, is it different than what we do now, because we exchanged emails," which I have in there that you'll get to see in there, where you'll see that. And he says, "I am so proud," and he wanted me to come out and speak to the school, the sea school. So as I say, I was the first destroyer ever to be a swimmer diving from the ship. So the first Navy SEAL. Mm. And in fact, my second story of my life is I have it in there, was we're waiting to get that published. So if you want to publish something, that'd be something nice to publish. It's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Okay. What did you help write the program for the SEALs?
No. We sent our complete method to the Navy Bureau of Personnel.
Okay.
Yeah. And but at that time we were the only one to use dumb swimmers.
I'm not sure I'd classify you as a dumb swimmer. Did you, with all the diving that you did and taking risks such as you did, was there anything that you carried for good luck?
No. Just my swimming talent.
That's amazing in itself.
Yeah. As I say, it's because so many things happen to us aboard ship, and so in fact, but I still think one of the nice things would receive a nice letter from the chief of saying, "Boy, we can't imagine how you ever did that." Good. And as I say, because for every pilot we took back, they would give us 20 gallons of ice cream, and our rescues got so casual, and the crew was so interested in getting their ice cream that they left me in the water twice. I'm just teasing. It was only once.
So they
remember
left
that deal, getting the ice cream? Yeah, as I say, they were so interested because we never had ice cream.
Not on board the ship, you didn't have it. Didn't have an ice cream maker.
But to be written up by Ernie Pyle, it's something you just don't imagine about it happening. And I'm in his book, the last chapter. But I still think that being the original SEAL is a great, great, great story. And we're just waiting. It was written. We're waiting to get it published somewhere now. And I gave you a copy of it too.
Well, at this time, I would like to thank you for sharing your story and for your service that you gave to our country. I would also like to take this time and thank you for allowing me to be the one that interviewed you, and having Natalie here as the court reporter.
Yeah, goodness me, to be invigorated, to be pleasured by the company of two lovely ladies, and to sit around and talk about our past to people. I mean, that's probably as close to heaven as I'm going to get, huh?
Well, thank you.